Hello, my name is Joel Windsor. I'm the music director at Notre Dame Collegiate, and I'm taking this opportunity to share with you some of the changes that we're doing in the music department, particularly with regards to assessments and marks. There's enough changes that are going to be happening in the marks so that when parents look into Power School, which is where they see their students' marks, they're going to look at things there and say, well, this does not seem to make a whole lot of sense compared to what happened last year or the year before, or for that matter, in comparison to some of the other classes that happen at Notre Dame Collegiate. So it's necessary that I provide you with a little bit of background as well as explanation as to how the mark structure has changed. And that's where this video comes into play. So the main reason why these marks have changed and the structure for marks has changed is because of a newly adopted philosophy for all music programs at Notre Dame Collegiate. And this philosophy, as you can see it here, it's that music education has as its fundamental purpose the development of all students as lifelong musicers. It means we make music available for every student as best as we possibly can. It means that every student who goes through music programming learns how to do this for their entire lives and be able to therefore pick up a guitar around a campfire or go sing at a birthday party or another special function just for fun and at church and so on and so forth. But also that it's musical activities. That's where the word musicking means, is that we're talking about any activity that revolves around music and performing music and listening to music and creating music and supporting music. All of these different things are musicking activities. And when we talk about that, that also means then is we're taking a little bit of focus off of the structures and standards of music and turning it into more relevant and contextualized information for students, so that kids are actually enjoying music that's relevant to them, making music that they are working on relevant to their audiences, and then finding all the other things that can make a complete difference as to how the message of music works. That's how our program is moving. How that affects marks is that marks are going to be looking at the development end of things as opposed to cumulative averages. And so that's going to look wildly different in Power School. The old system of marking in music classes relied on cumulative averages, as it does in many other classes as well. The problem with music, though, is that it's mostly focusing on development and not overall knowledge accumulation, and so we have to change how it works. Here's the reason why. Previous years, for example, if a student did their first playing test of the year, and of course were not as strong as they could be because it's at the beginning of the year, then they may receive, say, 75%. As they do, that's going to be the mark that they receive for all of their playing tests combined. As they continue throughout the year, they're going to, of course, improve their capability on their instruments, their tone quality, their attention to detail, and continue to improve until, of course, they reach their fullest potential for the year at the end of the school year. Problem is that as that happens, the cumulative average presents a completely different mark. It basically penalizes them for having not had a specific set of understanding, the specific skill development at the beginning of the year. This new system that we're going to be using for marking in music is going to actually focus on the cumulative development, not the averages. And therefore, the mark is going to be more closely related to where they get to at the end of the school year, not an average across what they couldn't do at the beginning and what they could do at the end. To provide you with an example of what this might look like in Power School this year instead. What you're looking at right now is a screenshot of a mark for a grade 7 student, and of course this is actually hypothetical right now because some of the activities haven't actually occurred yet, but it gives you an idea as to what things will look like in Power School all the same. What you'll see right now is there's a number of different activities at the top of your list and some at the bottom that all say development in. Well, with regards to your students' marks, the final mark is actually going to be composed of whatever you see in the development in each of these different categories. Creating, CR, performing, PR, responding, RE, collaborating, CO, and theory and skills, T and S. At this point in time, there hasn't been an awful lot of theory and skill assessment. There hasn't been an awful lot of collaborating assessment, etc. But there will be very shortly. And what I'm doing is for demonstration purposes is performing. And the purpose of this marking structure right now, as you see it, is that it's supposed to tell a story about your student's development. And so we look at, first of all, as an example, the first performing activity that this particular student has participated in. If you want to know a little bit more about it, the Head Start clinics happened on September 25th, which of course this video was recorded before that, so this is hypothetical. But you can click on that and find out a little bit about what it's actually going to focus on. So it's going to be focusing on their self-reflection, the use of peer feedback, and attention to their technical accuracy. And you can also have a look at your student's score on it. So this particular score may not be all that appetizing to individuals, but if you also take a quick peek here, this lovely little symbol here means that the assignment is actually not included in their final mark. So the only purpose of this grade that you see here is to help you provide a story. So this particular student, when you click on that, will have a little mark on there saying that this particular student is showing attention to technical accuracy, but wasn't really paying particular attention to their peers for feedback yet. And that will, of course, be something that develops. We are also only in September, so that is something that would develop over the course of the year. What you also see is later on in the process here is that you see another performing one here for the Culture Days performance. And again, looking at this one, you'll find that same things plus awareness of the performing venue is included there, and you'll see that the student has actually improved. And improved a little bit in such that they are now picking up more on peer feedback, and that can happen as quickly as within one day as it has here. And then just had a difficult time with responding to the performance space, which is not completely unexpected at the beginning of the school year. The next performing activity that they have will actually be a skills assessment that they record either in class or at home, and in this case it's the Tetrachord +1 assignment, which all students in grade 7 have now received. And again, you'll be able to click on that to see exactly what the response was and how the mark was assigned. So now the student is showing technical accuracy on this skill. And now this student only needs to develop a strategy for continual improvement. Basically, a practice strategy is what this is saying. That means that the student has now, even just in the course of 2 weeks, improved themselves from 67% to 83% in their performing skills alone. And so the one mark that matters, of course, and the one that affects the student's overall grade, this 83% in this grade, is this one right here, the overall development in performing, where you see this is based, of course, only on self-reflection for improvement and attention to technical accuracy and awareness of performance contexts, which means there's more in the rubric that has to be covered yet, but right now the student's mark is based off of these things. And that is why the student has achieved an 83%. It doesn't take long for the students to improve, but at the first, parents and students might balk at the marks a little bit because, of course, they are starting off the year at an expected level of introduction, but will be progressing to this mark, and that's the progression mark. The total development is what they will be receiving as their grade. So what you see in your student's Power School is a story describing their development, and you'll be able to see that across the performing, you'll be able to see that across the creating activities that we'll be doing throughout the year, the activities involving responding, and the activities involving collaboration as well, and theory and skill development. This is a quick snapshot, and of course, as the year progresses, this list is going to get longer and longer. But if you do have any questions about how the rubrics have actually gotten involved here, then you can certainly call me at any time. Phone number at the school is 403-652-2231. I will also demonstrate a little bit about how these numbers are arrived at using the rubrics as well. Learn a little bit more about how those marks are determined and how those numbers are determined with regards to each of those assessments. I recommend visiting the website at music.ndcfinearts.ca, or you can get there by going to www.ndcfinearts.ca. And when you get to the music site, you'll be able to check out the assessments page. Here we are with the assessments page. Inside there, you'll see the total overall weighting of every different section, including that performing section, which is worth a total of 30% of the student's mark. But you'll also be able to look at the various rubrics specific to your students. So if, with that last student, we were looking at a grade 7 band student. And you can just click on the rubric there. When the rubric shows up, you'll see all those different categories that are possible. Not every single one is used for every single activity. So as an example, with the last one, we were focusing specifically on this performing line. The idea is that by the end of grade 7, students will have achieved total strong novice skill development and be approaching the intermediate level. If you look at the other rubrics, there's 3 more categories. As a matter of fact, I think I'll actually show that real quick. With the senior band categories, you've got a great deal more, and it squishes into a couple of different pages. So inside the performing, grade 7s will achieve novice approaching intermediate, grade 8s and 9s will achieve intermediate approaching proficient, grade 10s will achieve proficient approaching accomplished, and grade 11s achieving accomplished approaching advanced. Grade 12s will be developing their advanced skills. And these are what the skills look like. And of course, that's aiming towards the end of each of those years. They'll be starting at the previous section. So a grade 7 student will be starting at the beginning of novice and ending at the end of novice, as an example. So back to the grade 7 rubric. The performing aspect right now, if you'll see right here, that last student started off at an 8, so was well on their way to achieving the skills that is expected of them at the end of grade 7, and actually achieved some skills at the end of grade 7, particularly as was demonstrated that they are being self-reflective, that they are demonstrating attention to technical accuracy, and that they are aware of the physical context of their performances. They'll have to develop the rest of these things, including musical selections, reading skills, and technical skill as well, and as well as justification of their selections based on aspects of the music. These are things that they would be exposed to throughout the rest of the year, and would aim to maintain this, if not develop into what is expected of grade 8 and 9 students. So certainly grade 7 students can explore beyond what is expected of a grade 7 student into grade 8 and 9, and that is why that category is included on this rubric. These are how the numbers are determined, and of course the point of it is to tell a story. At the beginning of the year they might start here, at the end of the year they may finish here, and it'll be this mark they achieve at the end of the year. The wonderful thing about looking for the overall development of a student to base our marks on means that we do not have to worry about individual assessments having such significant impacts on a student's mark. That being said, that's not permission to simply miss an assessment, because each single assessment that we do throughout the year targets particular aspects that you saw on that rubric. For example, the Head Start Clinic targets technical accuracy, whereas the performances that'll be taking place in, say, Christmas and in April during the festivals will be focusing mostly on musical selections. So when one of those performances are missed, then there is no demonstrated development in those areas, and so I simply can't provide a mark for those. So students do need to make sure that they still continue to do every single assignment throughout the entire year to demonstrate that towards their overall development mark that they would see at the end of the year. If they miss something for whatever reason that may be, they need to make that up by demonstrating those skills in a different way. So finding a different place to perform, or if it's the creativity tasks that we'll have, finding a different way of doing some creation in music, finding a different way of collaborating if you're doing a collaborative activity. So with that in mind, students need to make sure they stay on top of their tasks so that they can provide that demonstrated development that will be shown on their PowerSchool throughout the year. If you have any questions about the marking system, or for that matter about musicking or the philosophy that runs Notre Dame this time around, please feel free to give me a holler. My email address, jwindsor, WINDSOR, @redeemer.ab.ca, or you can call me at the school, 403-652-2231, extension 123. Be quite happy to answer any of your questions to the best of my ability. And of course, if you can't find the answers on the website, that's probably the best place to look first, and that website is music.ndcfinearts.ca. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.